Hi. Last time I said that China and Russia are zombie states in the last stages of meltdown. All right, you may say, but how can this help me make money? It can if you remember the following 2 points. First, a zombie state is really a pre-bankruptcy state. Second, as Hemingway said, a man goes bankrupt first slowly, then very fast. The same, by the way, holds for countries, and is the last point which brings me to the investment relevance. 2 years ago, I mentioned Huntington Ingalls Industries, HII symbol, the oldest US shipyard. I said it's worth sleuthing because the coming conflict with China would mean extra budget to US Navy for ships and submarines, and HII could be a prime beneficiary. Well, what do you know? Since then, HII stock is up 70% plus 1.9% dividend, while for the same period, the S&P, or rather the SPY, the ETF, is up only 13% with a 2.4% dividend. Total, stock plus dividend for 2 years, HII is up 72%, the SPY up only 15%, or an alpha of 57% stock gain over the market. Wowza! Not bad for sleuthing, eh? All right, but that's in the past. What about now? Is there more to come? Well, that's of course for you to find out via your own sleuthing. I just point out worthy targets. But just how does one go about sleuthing? Buy my book, The Sleuth Investor, and you'll see the whole method laid out for you. But all right, for your convenience, here is some of the current background for HII, and it's not entirely what you might think. Based on the latest news, China seemed stupidly on war footing against Taiwan. Why stupid? Because China is already in several meltdowns, so a war could make it curtains for the regime. So why does it persist? As I said, bankrupts are stupid, and once the meltdown accelerates, they always blame it on others, never on themselves, which is why they became bankrupt in the first place. So, what are these China's meltdowns? In my opinion, there are three major ones. First, China's population, what with one-child policy, is shrinking fast. Based on the UN forecast, China's population can be halved in 2 years. So unless workers' productivity zooms, highly unlikely, GDP will plunge by 50% too. That's an economic disaster of huge magnitude. Second and worse, it's likely GDP will shrink even more because of accelerating lockdowns. But third and worst, there's a huge glut on unfinished apartments in China financed by debt, built to keep people employed. But with fast shrinking population and smaller GDP, these buildings will have to be written off. This will bust many Chinese banks who hold the mortgages, and because most citizen savings are sunk in these apartments, the write-offs not only will bust the banks, but also bankrupt many Chinese. That will peeve them off even more than they already are due to lockdowns. The likely results? China, in my opinion, is about to undergo a big meltdown. How soon? In my opinion, in less than 10 years, probably even less than 5. Something like East Germany, only bigger, and without a merger partner, which East Germany had. Now, is there perhaps any way for China to avert this triple calamity? In my opinion, likely not. Decisions now are all made by one man, Xi Jinping, without any feedback, because people are afraid to tell him the truth, and their fear is well-founded. In the last party congress, last week, after Xi Jinping was confirmed as dictator, his henchmen frog-marched his predecessor Hu Jintao out, probably into house arrest, hopefully not worse. And that's, by the way, what Saddam Hussein once did as he grabbed power in Iraq. Only Saddam frog-marched his opponent out to be shot. Will Hu Jintao suffer the same fate? No one will know, because within an hour, Hu Jintao's name and those of his supporters were erased from all government websites. That's what Soviet leaders like Stalin and Brezhnev used to do. In short, China is now ruled by a Stalinist remake of Saddam Hussein, who also has his eyes on the Kuwait invasion of his own, Taiwan. And in this, Xi seems to imitate yet a third dictator, yes, Vladimir Putin, who has invaded Ukraine. Putin's plan was, if I can have Ukraine, neither can the West, because I'll destroy it first. With Taiwan, it might be similar, only bigger. Ukraine supplied only 1/3 of the world's wheat, so the invasion was bad, but not terminal. On the other hand, Taiwan supplies 80% of the world's top microchips, the one that go into smartphones, smart planes, and smart computers. In other words, Taiwan is more critical to the West than Kuwait and Ukraine ever were, combined. The US, indeed the entire West, can't let Taiwan go to China. The question is, will China attack it? The common argument is that with its multiple meltdowns, China cannot afford a war now. Same it was said about Russia, by the way. And yet Russia did invade. However, Russia is almost self-sufficient in both food and energy, so it can survive the sanctions. China cannot. It depends on imports of both. So a food blockade, for example, would starve out hundreds of millions of Chinese. On top, the Chinese military is made of only sons of prominent family. Remember single son families? Killing them in war would likely cause a mini revolution. And yet Xi Jinping seems intent to go after Taiwan. Will he? Maybe he's bluffing. Most think he won't. I think he might. But the irony is that for HII stock, it really doesn't matter what will happen to Taiwan. The stock may do well anyway because, ironically, the US Navy will buy more ships and submarines no matter what. They already have the budget, they have admirals, and the admirals need ships to drive. So the question is, will the stock continue to zoom well in the future as it has done the last 2 years? To know this, you'll have to do the detailed sleuthing yourself. In these video clips, I only present what I think are worthy sleuthing targets. You have to do the work yourself. That's all for today. Please let me know below what you think of the above, and if you like it, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Then retweet to your friends so they subscribe too, and then go and buy my book, The Sleuth Investor, and if you like it, give it a review on Amazon. I hope it's a good one. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching.